We've got a big fight today in the tournament. It is going to be Sentry from Marvel Comics versus Superman from DC Comics. Really quickly, results of the last match, which was Goku versus the Hulk. You all got to vote, and you voted for Goku to move forward, and he will face the winner of this match, but that's later. Now, let's look at each of these characters, their skills, abilities, feats, everything like that, and ultimately decide who would win if they were to fight. Sentry is essentially Marvel's take on a character like Superman, that sort of style of character, if you will, though they are very different. Superman is this perfect being of goodness and righteousness and everything like that, whereas Sentry is a little bit mentally unwell and he's got his own issues going on and everything. But sort of power-wise and presence and everything like that, they are of the same archetype, I would say. That said, let's start with Superman. Let's get into it. And I will be, for the most part, talking about Rebirth Superman, though I may bring up some feats from other versions. But Superman, the character, really needs no introduction. Everybody knows who Superman is, and for the most part, everybody knows what Superman can do. He is the last son of Krypton. He can leap tall buildings in a single bound, all that good stuff, though his power is obviously much more than that. Strength-wise, we've seen the guy hold a black hole in his hand, hold a book with infinite pages. He's been able to lift the heavens themselves and lift literally hundreds of quintillions of tons, an insane amount of weight. Speed-wise, of course, we know that he is multiple times faster than the speed of light, being able to fly across the solar system very quickly, being able to keep up with people like the Flash and obviously other extremely fast villains that he's had to fight. And we've seen him threaten to be able to react in as fast as a femtosecond, which, needless to say, is extremely fast. When it comes to power output, obviously Superman is no slouch either. He's punched hard enough to shatter planets and has gone toe-to-toe with the most powerful villains that DC has to offer, from Doomsday to Darkseid, Mongol, Zod, and many others, including the World Forger, who was in the process of creating an entire multiverse whenever Superman put him down with a single punch. It is worth noting that whenever he did this, he was amped with many different suns that he flew through, which again showcases his incredible speed, but I do want to know that level of power, putting down this multiversal being, isn't necessarily in his normal kit. What is in his normal kit, though, again, is his incredible power to, again, KO people like Darkseid, who's a universal, if not multiversal level threat, Despero, Doomsday, and many others. He's also got super breath, freeze breath, and extremely powerful laser vision, even able to rival those of Darkseid's Omega beams. Durability-wise, we know that he's powerful enough, strong enough to take hits from all these people, taking hits from Darkseid's Omega beams, getting the crap beat out of him by Mongol and others. Most famously, quote-unquote, dying to Doomsday, who was able to KO the rest of the Justice League, and has even been able to defeat Darkseid. So if you didn't know, Superman is extremely powerful, one of, if not the most powerful hero in the DC universe. But real quick, I do want to mention that I am crowdfunding my third graphic novel, Cardinal Starstruck, on Indiegogo. It's got great story, great art, it's action-packed. Please do follow the link in the description to check out the Indiegogo page. Look through all the information about the campaign and the book itself, and if it interests you, please do consider backing. I put a lot into this book. I think it's really great, and I think that you will really enjoy it as well. So again, please follow that link, and I appreciate any support. Thank you. On the other side, we have the Sentry, again, Marvel's version of Superman. And Sentry does have a few different forms. I'm going to talk about Sentry and then merged Sentry, and I'll get into that in just a second. But Sentry on his own was said to have the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. His powers are much the same as Superman. Incredibly fast, incredibly strong, incredibly durable, with some telekinesis and things like that thrown in as well. We've seen him do some pretty impressive things, like going toe-to-toe with Thor, being able to hit him at super rapid speeds, overpowering him multiple times and being able to dodge his attacks and dodge Mjolnir and things like that. He's absolutely hammered Beta Ray Bill, who is roughly equivalent to Thor in terms of power. He's fought the Hulkbuster and pretty easily overpowered it, and has done some crazy stuff like fight Null, the symbiote god, who is extremely powerful to the point that Null was fighting people like Ego the Living Planet. And Sentry got some good licks in, hit him so hard that they destroyed a planet, and he was able to fly through and destroy a Celestial that had been possessed by the symbiote. Extremely high-level feat. And one of Sentry's most famous feats was fighting World War Hulk to a standstill, essentially wearing each other out during that fight, So from the offset, we've pegged Sentry at roughly Thor level of power, if not slightly above. But beyond this, we have another version of Sentry. If you don't know the lore, Sentry had a main villain called the Void, this sort of shadow evil entity, and it was revealed that the Void is actually an alternate personality of Sentry because he is mentally unwell. He creates this enemy that is himself, right? And the Void is arguably more powerful than Sentry himself. We've seen the Void do things like casually wrap up the Hulk and break his limbs, and has killed the likes of Loki, not to mention having an insane healing factor and things like that. But a more modern version of Sentry is actually the character with the two personalities merged into one. No longer is he at war with himself. The Void and the Sentry are now unified into what a lot of people call merged Sentry. And this version we've seen do some pretty impressive stuff. We've seen him fight She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, and Thor all at the same time. He pretty easily beat Captain Marvel and was trading some huge blows with Thor, able to tank massive attacks from him and deal it right back. He additionally has more powers, again, like his telekinetic powers and everything like that seem more pronounced in this form. He also has his shadow attacks, similar to what the Void would do. Like I said, being able to casually break Hulk's bones is now a part of his arsenal. And we get some pretty direct scaling to his previous form, as he's fighting sort of his protege who has the Sentry formula in him, who is essentially as powerful as Sentry was before, and Merged Sentry is absolutely mogging the dude. Merged Sentry is definitely a Thor plus level character, definitely a team buster, can fight the entire Avengers at once, things like that, extremely powerful. What happens if these two actually fight? They meet each other on the battlefield, they recognize that they are enemies, and they decide to duke it out. Comparing stats is really going to be unfair, just because we've had 80 years of Superman, and Sentry has been around for a little while, but is not nearly as popular. So as far as quantifiable things like strength and speed and things like that, Superman almost certainly has the advantage here. Durability wise, everything like that, Superman probably has the advantage just because we've seen so much more come from Superman. But I think if you're looking at the implied power of each character, Sentry definitely stands a chance, especially in his merged form. Just in his regular base form, being able to beat people like Beta Ray Bill puts him in the running in a Superman level fight, but his merged form being much higher than that, far above that, definitely gives him a chance to win. With his main weakness being the fact that he is mentally unwell, and Superman is much smarter, not only in just raw intelligence, but combat intelligence as well. He is much smarter and would have that advantage. I feel like this is similar to whenever Superman fought Hell, or like a stronger, more powerful, more versatile version of Zod. This is definitely a character that would push Superman to not hold back, which not many people can do. So again, while I think Superman has many advantages for the most part, speed, strength, power, and actual combat skill, I think that the two are going to be pretty close. I think they're going to be roughly equivalent. If anything, maybe a slight power advantage to Merged Sentry, though you could make the case that Rebirth Superman is the most powerful version we've seen so far and things like that, and he would have that advantage there. I think they are roughly equivalent to each other to where there's not a clear, huge advantage for one over the other. And so it would come down to maybe smaller factors. I think the main factor here is just that Superman is way more experienced, just from the fact that we've seen, again, 80 years of Superman doing stuff. There pretty much isn't anything that he hasn't done before. His skill, his combat knowledge, his combat ability really will be an advantage here because he's just done so much. He's fought people like this before, essentially. He's fought everybody before and every type of thing before. Whereas Sentry doesn't have that same type of experience, and also add in the mental instability and things like that. I think that Superman probably has the overall advantage. And again, we've seen Superman fight and beat people like Darkseid before, and we have not seen an equivalent with Sentry. Like, we've never seen Merged Sentry beat Thanos or anything like that. Based on what we've seen, I think that Superman would win this fight. I think it would be closer than some of the fights we've seen here, but I think Sentry would just be going like full bore at Superman, throwing everything that he's got at him. But Superman is much more calm, collected, smart about his fighting. I think he'd be able to take it. I think he'd be able to deal with Sentry and eventually be able to overpower him, as he has done many times in the past, with many opponents, including opponents more powerful than him. It's definitely not going to be a walk in the park. There is definitely a world where Sentry wins this, but I think at least 6, maybe 7 out of 10 times, Superman is going to walk away with the victory. Though, it is not up to me. You all get to go vote. Head over to the communities page on my YouTube channel and vote for who you want to win and who you want to move forward in the bracket. Also, let me know in the comments who you think will win. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.